Good morning. Welcome to Up to the Minute. I'm Todd Duplantis. It is Friday. Hashtag finally Friday. Have you built an ark yet? You probably need it here if you live in Houston. It's been crazy over the past few weeks, but last day of the month, let's hope June will be better. But hey, welcome to hurricane season. That's upon us now, and seems like we've been through a hurricane season for the last month. Randy Ramsey, my co-host. Randy, you've been experiencing some problems with weather and power like many Houstonians right now.
Well, it's like the dark ages out here, quite literally. We lose power on the regular. That's the joy of living on this side of town, I think. But we have power right now, so I'm super excited to be here with you all. I'm so excited about the show and seeing you. And I'm 17 days from starting summer camp at HCC for
Oh,
swamp.
that's cool.
So
Do you
yeah,
still
I'm
have
behind.
openings? Do you still
I
have openings?
do.
Okay.
I have two openings left.
Okay. All right. We'll
So
make sure that the link is in our social media post for the Swamp Summer Camp for kids. It's for what ages is it for?
12 to 17, and it's a 3-week filmmaker boot camp. So they write it, prep it, shoot it, post it. They do it all. Julie Newland and I are there to guide them through the
Cool.
process. But the couple of the short films that they made are on our website. And honestly, I don't know, I should have Peter take a look at them later. They're pretty
Yeah.
good. I mean, when the average age of the person doing it is 14, I think there's some pretty good stuff there.
Well, and there are a couple of openings, folks. If you're, I get calls all the time. For some reason, this is wonderful. You'll love this. So, the one of the STEM summer camps, they accidentally put my phone number on their flyer by mistake. So
I
I'm
think that's
getting
awesome, Todd, because we all know nobody's better with technology than you.
Oh, I get calls yeah, at least 5 calls a day wanting to do. So I got the number of the right person, so I refer them to the right person. But you mentioned about film. Of course, it's Film Friday,
Hmm.
and today you're going to be talking with a guest, and we'll introduce him in a few moments. But one thing I've got a beef with the entertainment industry. Went to go see, and this is just encapsulates what I think of current movies. Okay. I went to go see Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes over the past weekend. People were saying, hey, it's kind of like the first movie. It takes you back. There are a lot of Easter eggs in the film, that'll take you back to the first set of movies, the real ones, not that trilogy that came out, 10 years ago. Anyway, so I went to go see that. Felt like the movie ran about 2.5 hours long, felt like it ran 3.5 hours long, and realistically it could have been an hour and a half. Great movie, a great movie, an hour and a half. So my beef with the entertainment industry now is quit making these 2.5 hour 3 hour movies. Make them 2 hours or less. Get it all in there. Put the extra stuff out there to buy as extra content. That's just my rant. So hopefully you can speak with Peter about that today as well.
I'm sure Peter and I have some thoughts on that. I thought Killers of the Flower Moon was 25 minutes too long.
Yeah, yeah. I don't get it. They used to cut that down, but we'll get into that in a minute. Hey, thanks for watching us on this Flooding Friday. Be careful out
Mhm.
there. But it's also Film Friday and Finally Friday. We're here every Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. most of the time when HCC is in session. And Randy, they can also catch us in social media, and we're also on the cable channel too.
That's right. We're live on Houston Community College District Facebook page and YouTube, but we're also on X, LinkedIn, and then HCCTV at noon, 5 and 10 p.m. Monday through Friday.
Okay. All right, Randy, you're going to be talking with this next guest. Peter Vonder Haar is the Houston Press film critic. Also, he's an author as well as our Friday film guest. Welcome to the show, Peter.
Thanks for having me, Todd.
Well, I've got my questions. Randy's going to pass those on to you. Sure you heard of them. So we're looking forward. You're going to be talking about the summer offering, the blockbusters and beyond that are coming out in the next couple of months, right?
That's right.
All right, Peter. We look forward to hearing from you on Film Friday. We'll be with you in just about 10 minutes or so. But first, HCC is continuing its series of instructional workshops that also teach how history can be fun. That's right. Dr. April Paluka is an HCC history professor and the host of an upcoming Meet an Historian. Welcome to the show, Dr. Paluka, and thanks for telling us more about the series and the department of one of HCC's own HCCTV. HCCTV's co-host, Dr. Nick Cox, who is the chair of the history department. Now, I know in June, you guys are kicking off a series of Meet an Historian events. You're leading it. Tell us a bit about what we can expect.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me today as well. So with our Meet an Historian series, we're really hoping to get students thinking about the many ways that a history degree can be useful. For example, I chose the title Instructional Historians for my talk on June 18th, because I think the common perception is that teaching grade school or perhaps at the college level is really the only career opportunity available with a history degree. Well, that's certainly a great track that I'm partial to as well, and I'll discuss it more in depth during the talk. There were actually a lot of options that are available within the umbrella of instruction in our history field. And that's what's so exciting about our Meet an Historian series. It gives students a chance to interact with historians and to learn about how we apply our discipline outside of the classroom. We're always delighted to share the reasons why history is so important, the variety of career options that are available with a history degree, and of course, why we love the work that we do. Those are really the goals we want to achieve with this series.
You know, I'm a bit of a history buff. I love traveling to places, especially American history. My late wife and I used to go to Williamsburg, Virginia, and I've been going there since I was a little kid, and travel through Jamestown and Yorktown and travel to Washington, D.C. That's what we do in our spring breaks for fun. But it must take a special yearning to want to make this your career. I do it as a hobby because I enjoy it. How did you get drawn into this? And tell us a little bit about your background.
Sure. I've always been fascinated with history. I think really at my earliest years, it got started by watching movies like Indiana Jones, watching, he's an archaeologist, but, history ties in very closely with archaeology as well. So just kind of seeing that in action, as it were, was always fascinating and fun to me. But as I grew older and I got a bachelor and a master's at Sam Houston State and then a PhD at Texas A&M in history, the more you learn, the more you realize that there is so much more out there that you can learn as well. So for me, it was just the joy of learning and kind of seeking the treasures that are historical knowledge and picking up all of those stories, because really history is about people and it's about their stories. And I was really drawn to that and still am. Now, and telling the stories, of course.
Before we, I know with the theme of your event, now, how can people see this event? Because I believe this is going to be done online. Is that right?
It will be done on WebEx, and we'll circulate that link very soon, hopefully over the next few days. It's a completely virtual event, so that we're hoping that will invite more students to join us.
Now, the workshop's theme, Instructional Historians, Copy Editing, Consulting, and Teaching with a History Degree. Tell us about that, because people would wonder, okay, you've got a history degree. What are you going to do with it now? That might be a common thing, especially as a parent with a kid going to college. What are you going to do with that history degree?
Absolutely. And that's what the Meet an Historian series is really all about, is sort of presenting different options for students to consider. So academic copywriting and copy editing, for my personal experience, I worked for a short time with study.com. And for those not familiar with study.com, it's an educational website that makes a wide range of topics available and accessible to a public audience. So really what we did was they had a pool of outlines and guidelines, and the writers would select whichever topic they felt, kind of drawn to. The very first article I wrote about was, our topic was ancient Roman concrete, which sounds, terribly boring, but it was so fun to learn about something that I had never previously studied. And that's one of the beautiful things about a history degree, is that even though a lot of the articles that I wrote for study.com as an academic copywriter, they weren't really within specialties, but because my history degree taught me how to research and analyze and use primary sources and find good, credible, sound sources, that enabled me to write on a wide range of topics, including the Art Deco movement of the 1930s, which is really fun as well. And, you know, who knew Roman concrete could be so fascinating? But that's what a history degree allows you to do, is go and kind of seek that the treasure of historical knowledge and then present it. But it was a great creative outlet. So that's something that I think our Meet an Historian series will also show, is that history degrees are not just for people who love memorizing dates and facts and names. It's for people who love to write creatively and enthusiastically about the things that they learn. And another part of the presentation that will happen on June 18th via WebEx as part of our series is consulting. So I worked as a teaching consultant during my time as a PhD student in Texas A&M. I was also an instructor at that time. And we drew on our experiences inside the classroom to help train and uplift and encourage and build professional relationships with our colleagues. So that's one of the benefits of having been trained in a history degree, is that we got to kind of help each other as well. And then our final part of the series, or my talk in this series, is instructing, especially at the college level. Now, while Meet an Historian is all about focusing on what we do outside of the classroom, I would be remiss if I didn't mention kind of the service-oriented aspects of being an instructor at the college level. So as I mentioned earlier, and as you alluded to as well, sort of what everyone asks when you hear that a loved one is getting a degree in history is, oh, so you're going to teach, right? That's kind of our number one assumption. But I'd love to complicate that a little bit more. You may end up teaching grade school kids who are learning Texas history for the first time, or you may teach AP US history to college-bound high school students, or perhaps upper-level courses at a four-year university about topics like colonial Latin America. Or what I'm partial to is teaching Mexican-American history at your local community college. With these career choices also come the opportunity for service. And that's something that I really am going to highlight as part of our talk in the Meet an Historian series. Instructors serve their communities inside and outside of the classroom. We participate in exhibitions for festivals or museums. We advocate for students. We write recommendation letters. We participate on committees that adopt good textbooks or hire new instructors, or put together a series like Meet an Historian.
Well, April, we're looking forward to the series, and we'll have all the information in our social media post after the show. We appreciate you joining us on this wet Friday. Stay dry out there, and we look forward to seeing you online.
Thank you so much.
And we'll have all the information on the web series in our post after the show. All right, Randy, Film Friday. That's what today is as well. Go ahead, take it away. You got a special guest.
I am super excited, but I'm also very excited about the Meet an Historian. I'm also excited that you said an historian, which makes me as a writing professor very happy. But I'll be online for it. So thank you for being here, April. And now, thank you so much, Peter Vonder Haar, for being with us today, a member of the Houston Press. He's the Houston Press film critic, author, and our Film Friday guest. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome to the show.
Thanks very much for having me.
We are talking about summer releases and more. So let's begin with what you think is a pretty, I think it's a pretty weak start to the summer, but you let me know.
Well, it really all depends on your perspective on it. You've got two movies that came out this last weekend, Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, and Garfield, which both grossed almost the exact same amount at the box office. Garfield, however, is being looked at as more of a success because the budget wasn't as big and it's had more of an overseas opening, whereas Furiosa is now being categorized as something of a bomb. The budget for that was $170 million, and it grossed, I think, 34 or 32 in its first weekend. So it's not a real good harbinger for the coming season, I don't think. There's a lot of factors at play, but it's not. And you have to look at Furiosa itself as sort of it's a Mad Max movie, but Mad Max isn't really in it. So does that really count? So I don't know how much
Well,
indicator it is, but
and there's always that like male audience backlash in these kind of sci-fi epics. Every time there's a female lead or a female
right.
director, you always get this sort of like very, I think, bizarre um negative social media campaigns ahead of time that seem to impact box office as well. Although then it does really well on streaming later. So
Yeah, that's kind of what happened with Fury Road. Everybody was upset because, hey, this isn't about Max at all. It's about Furiosa. And then it didn't do great in the box office, but it did really hit well in streaming and on rentals and kind of gained. And after the Oscars too, it won a ton of Oscars for effects and for cinematography and things like that. So that helped in its push. I don't know if that's going to be the case with Furiosa, honestly. It's just, I won't say it's more of the same, but kind of to what Todd was talking about earlier, it's also 2.5 hours long. Really didn't need to be that long. I mean, in my opinion, and I'm on record as being one of the biggest Fury Road fans out there. Like
yeah.
I saw it multiple times in the theater, and I was a huge advocate for it. So it doesn't do me, it doesn't make me happy to say that Furiosa kind of is a step back, but we'll see where George Miller goes from here. Maybe he'll make another Babe.
I wonder if it, I feel like it's like Marvel movie fatigue. I feel like there's a certain
Mhm.
point where you get oversaturated in the genre and then you're just kind of done with it, I feel that. But let's talk a little bit about streaming releases versus theatrical. What are your thoughts on what's coming up this summer?
Well, so one of the big ones, and one of the ones I think is, well, we just had one too. We had Hitman, which starred Glenn Powell, and Glenn Powell, he was in Top Gun Maverick. He was just in that Sydney Sweeney movie, Anyone But You. He's going to be in the Twisters, the sequel to Twister coming out. So you could kind of view him as sort of a good box office bet. However, Netflix, in what has become sort of a strategy for them, bought the rights to Hitman, which, by the way, is based on a really interesting story by Skip Hollandsworth, who writes for Texas Monthly. Um,
Yeah.
and they rent a handful of theaters, push the movie out in that to justify sort of awards consideration, and then they just dump it straight onto Netflix. And they're not even doing, as far as I know, they're not even doing a theatrical release for the new Beverly Hills Cop Axel F, which comes out in July 3rd on Netflix, which you'd think no-brainer, Eddie Murphy, Axel Foley, Beverly Hills Cop, 4th of July weekend. It's going straight to streaming. And so you're seeing that a
Well,
lot more.
I mean, that doesn't bode well, does it? When you're like, oof, they're not even going to release it.
It doesn't bode well. You look at the marquee movies, the ones that were hugely advertised. Furiosa got a lot of advertising, but look at something like The Fall Guy, which was advertised ad nauseum in the months leading up to its release, and it also did not really impress in terms of modern expectations at box office. So yeah, it's not a great time. You're looking at movies or theater studios are really doubling down on these big IP sequels and reinventions and reboots, when it looks like people are more inclined to go to something that may be a little more mid-range, a little more, it doesn't cost as much money to make. So maybe it doesn't have to gross $120 million on its opening weekend to justify its existence.
Well, what I think is interesting is like we can take this time right now as saying, oh, Hollywood's dead, it's terrible. Or we could look at it as a revival of possibly the indie film movement, which is, would be a nice change. But it's changing seas for filmmakers right now. But everyone's talking about the relative lack of superhero movies this summer. So why do you think that is, and what is coming out?
Well, I think it's to what you said before. There's fatigue. I mean, Marvel really captured lightning in a bottle with the whole Infinity Saga with their superheroes, and it built it up, and they built the series, and they spaced the movies out well, and it all climaxed in what was I think a very good fashion. And then they just couldn't help themselves. You had multiple TV shows, more movies, a multiverse nobody cares about. So I think there's been a pullback from that. You've already heard that happen with the Star Wars. Disney said they're not going to be counting on releasing as many movies as they had. Marvel's going to be concentrating more on TV shows and sort of trying to reassemble, no pun intended, they're sort of where they're going forward with things like X-Men and Fantastic Four. But so what you're getting what will, I think, end up being one of the bigger movies of the summer is the Deadpool Wolverine movie. I think there's a lot of anticipation for that big R-rated film, which a lot of kids are going to end up coming to anyway. And then the only other one, I know I'm probably missing one, but the only other superhero movie that I can think of is coming out is at the end of the summer, and it's Kraven the Hunter. And it's another one of these Spider-Man universe movies by Sony, like Venom and Madam Web and Morbius, that are about a bunch of Spider-Man villains that don't actually have Spider-Man in them. So this one stars Aaron Taylor Johnson. He was also in The Fall Guy. And I don't know who's asking for these. Sony, used to release these Spider-Man movies periodically because they didn't want to lose the rights. And now, I can't imagine. I mean, I can't imagine this doing great on the heels of Madam Web and on the heels of Morbius, which were basically the same kind of film. I mean, talk about movies that could have gone straight to streaming.
Well, yeah, there was certainly a lot of those where you were like, why is this could have been an email, you know?
This could have been a TV
But
show.
I want to ask you as we wrap up, you have a
Mhm.
side gig as an author of mystery novels, the Clarke and Clarke series.
Yes.
So, what's going on with that? We have about a minute left, but I didn't know you had a side gig as an author.
I do have a side gig as an author. Clarke and Clarke, they're twin detectives. He's an ex-cop, she's a white hat hacker. They fight crime. It's set in Houston, so I try to incorporate a lot of locations, a lot of like local lore and settings and things like that. The first three are out and are available on Amazon. I have been plugging away at the fourth one. There's been some personal things that have kind of popped up on that one, but I'm hoping to get the fourth one out this year. Don't have a title for it yet, but yes, definitely should be looking for that, and hopefully more of those will be in the pipeline come out.
Well, I'm so excited to read them. I had no idea. So now I'm going to go download them.
I'll
But
send
we
you a
would
link.
also love to have you at the Houston Media Conference this year. So I'll talk to you later about that. But
Oh, that would be great.
I'm so excited to talk to you. Thank you so much. And I'm sorry we didn't get to max time, but super excited. And
Okay.
thank you for your thoughts on the summer. And then we'll talk to you at the end of the summer and see how we did.
All right. Sounds great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Peter. Houston Press film critic, author, mystery author, and our Film Friday guest. We'll have more info about all your things in the post after the show.
Great.
All right, thank you both. And I think I still am going to go see Furiosa, though. I was a big fan of Fury Road. I like that, and enjoyed the whole Fury Road thing. And I'm not really bothered by these side projects that don't involve Mad Max. Nor do I care whether it's a woman director or a male director or a woman lead or a male lead. I just want to see a good movie. That's what it's about for me.
Rogue One was one of the best Star Wars movies, in my opinion, ever.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have.
Actually was very good.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good.
See?
All right. We've got a few announcements to go through before we wrap up today's show. One of them, we want to make all of our graduates. I know we're supposed to have graduation. What was it, a couple weeks ago now? It's a couple weeks ago, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. And we had horrible weather that day, so we had to postpone the graduation. But HCC this week has announced that the new commencement ceremony, it will take place April let's see, if you set up to walk the stage by the April 22nd deadline, a detailed email with the date and important information to prepare for the big day has been sent to the HCC student email via marching order. The date is Thursday, June 13th. That's a week from this Thursday. So go check that out. It's going to be at NRG Arena. So graduates, we got you covered. We'll see you at Energy Arena on June 13th. Check our post after the show for more information. Tomorrow, big day out at our Northeast campus, though, Randy.
Is that because they're having the HCC Truck Driving Championship?
Yes.
8 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Yep.
On our Northeast campus. HCC's Automobile Center for Excellence will host the annual Houston Council of Safety Professionals Truck Driving Championship, where professional drivers will compete in different CDL classifications. Should be a good time. I like trucks and I like speed.
It should be a good time. All right. Workforce Symposium. That's happening at our Missouri City as well, our Missouri City campus. It is a job fair. Up your skills and land your dream job by joining HCC Southwest's second annual Workforce Symposium and Job Fair in partnership with the Missouri City Juneteenth celebration. Job seekers can take part in job interviews, career and resource seminars, and job readiness preparation. It happens from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Friday, June 14th. So that's 2 weeks from today. It's at HCC's Missouri City campus. It is free. We hope to see you out there, land that job, and they'll actually be doing interviews on site that day. Be dressed to impress, bring your resumes, and you could, from what I understand, when they did this before, people were walking out of there with job offers. So it could really happen for you. Make sure you check it out. And we've also, let's see, we've got some community dance classes as well.
Yeah, they're really great. Their HCC Community Learning is offering several dance classes and one mat Pilates class this summer. Prices range from $44 to $89. They begin in June at the HCC Northwest Spring Branch campus. If you have not been to these, they're super fun, super great. Highly recommend. 10 out of 10. Registration info is in the post.
And speaking of registration, we've got summer and fall registration ongoing right now. Get the classes you want. Some of them are online. Some of them are hybrid. And of course, we have the in-person classes as well. Go to hccs.edu/apply for more information. Okay, next week, which will be June, if you can believe that, we'll have Mental Health Monday, and our regular monthly guest, Dr. Sean Fitzpatrick of the Hume Center of Houston, joins us. And looking ahead, we'll welcome the leadership from the Missouri City Juneteenth Festival to the show, which we learned from Dr. Madeline Barillo Hopkins was the oldest Juneteenth celebration in the state of Texas. Oh, and there's a rumor, real quickly, we're almost out of time, but there's a rumor that HCCTV is going to have a Juneteenth special coming up. That's in the works.
Wow.
Yeah. So a lot of things going on, yeah, for Juneteenth. And you can hear all about it here on Up to the Minute. Randy, we're out of time. Thanks for being here. I'll see you next week.
See you next week. Great weekend, everybody.
All right. Have a good weekend. Stay dry. We'll see you Monday.